what happened to body composition in your study when you overfed people with either a low versus a high protein diet?
So if you're talking about the study that, are you talking about the study that I did in resistance trained females?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I believe that was the first study ever done where we compared high versus low protein in a female population, and they were resistance training females. So what we did was we had randomly assigned them, and they were all resistance training. We randomly assigned them to a high protein intake group, and they had to ingest at least I think it was 2.4 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, which is like 1.1 grams per pound. So a really high amount of protein. The other group, we said you have to eat no more than 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. And that was around 0.5 grams per kg. So we had this big difference. We had somebody who couldn't go lower than 2.4 and somebody couldn't go higher than 1.2. So a big gap between the protein intakes. And what I thought would happen was, because we increased protein, I thought that the high protein group would naturally reduce their carbs and fat to kind of offset those extra calories, but they didn't. They added protein, which they actually had added almost 300 extra calories per day on average. And the low protein group, same thing. We thought, oh, they'll naturally increase their carbs and fat. They didn't. They lowered their protein, and they actually were in a slight caloric deficit.
Mm.
And at the end of the study, not surprisingly, because they were resistance training, and by the way, we supervised that study. So every single workout was supervised by our staff. So we know exactly, it was like a 90-some% adherence rate to the exercise. They all had an individual coach, nutrition coach, to help them, making sure that they were filling in all of their nutrition variables. So it was a very as controlled of a study as you can do in a free living population. And not surprisingly, the high protein group gained significantly more fat-free mass than the low protein group. That's not shocking because they were resistance training, and protein allows you to adapt optimally to that exercise stimulus. What was surprising was the high protein group, despite increasing their calories by nearly 300 calories per day, they lost a significant amount of body fat.
Mm.
And the low protein group, they maintained their lean body mass, but didn't gain as much. And I don't remember their body fat. I don't think also didn't significantly lower, even though they were in a slight caloric deficit. That was our study. Yes, it was like, wow, I didn't expect that. But it's not the only study to show that. There have been a handful of studies when you increase protein, and here's the key, in people who are resistance training, one of two things happen. They either lose body fat or they do not gain body fat. And when I say they increase protein, that implies they're actually increasing their total calories. So again, several studies have reported this. And I just did an Instagram post today on a different not my study, but it was very intriguing, an overfeeding study. And just again, the summary was, if you're going to overeat on protein, there really is no harm on this. And again, this always implies a healthy individual without kidney disease or metabolic issues.